Vitamin A. Vitamin A is the vitamin most people connect with eyesight, but its job is much broader than that. It helps the eyes adjust between bright light and darkness, which is why it has long been linked to night vision. At the same time, it also supports the skin, the lining of the nose and mouth, and the immune system that helps the body respond to infection. In a simple way, it is one of the vitamins that helps the body protect itself from both the outside world and the wear of daily life. It comes in two main forms. One form is found ready-made in animal foods like liver, eggs, dairy products, and fish oils. The other comes from plant foods in the form of carotenoids, especially beta-carotene, which the body can turn into vitamin A when needed. That is why orange and dark green vegetables such as carrots, sweet potatoes, pumpkin, spinach, and kale are so often mentioned in conversations about this vitamin. They do not contain the exact same form as animal foods, but they still help fill the body's supply. What makes vitamin A stand out is how closely it is tied to growth and cell development. It helps the body maintain healthy tissues, and that matters from childhood onward. When people do not get enough of it, the signs can show up in subtle ways at first, like dry eyes, dry skin, or trouble seeing clearly in low light. Over time, a deeper lack can become much more serious, especially in places where diets are limited and colorful foods are not always available. Vitamin A matters because it quietly supports several systems at once. It is not only about seeing better. It is about helping the body maintain strong barriers, healthy vision, and normal growth in a way that often goes unnoticed until something starts to go wrong. Vitamin B is often talked about as if it were one single vitamin, but it is really a family of vitamins that work together behind the scenes. These include well-known members like B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B7, B9, and B12, each with its own task, but all deeply involved in turning food into usable energy. They help the body process carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, and they also support the brain, nerves, blood cells, and many of the chemical reactions that keep the body running from morning to night. What makes the B group different from many other vitamins is that they are closely connected to metabolism. If vitamin A is often linked to vision, vitamin B is more connected to motion, energy, and internal function. These vitamins do not directly give calories, but they help the body unlock energy from the food people eat. That is one reason they are often associated with tiredness and fatigue. When levels are low, people may feel drained, foggy, weak, or unusually run down, even if they are eating enough food overall. The B vitamins come from a wide range of foods. Whole grains, meat, fish, eggs, dairy, legumes, leafy greens, nuts, and seeds all contribute different parts of the B family. Some are especially tied to animal foods, while others are easy to find in beans, grains, or vegetables. Because the group is so broad, a balanced diet usually spreads them across many meals rather than relying on one single source. Historically, vitamin B became clearer to science when researchers realized that some deficiency diseases were not caused by infection, but by missing nutrients in the diet. That discovery changed the way people understood food. Vitamin B matters because it helps connect what we eat to what the body can actually do with it, supporting energy, nerve health, and the steady work of everyday life. Vitamin C. Vitamin C is one of the most familiar vitamins in the world, largely because it is tied to fruits, colds, and the idea of staying healthy. Its best-known role is helping the body build collagen, a protein that supports skin, blood vessels, cartilage, gums, and other connective tissues. In other words, it helps hold parts of the body together. It also acts as an antioxidant, which means it helps protect cells from some of the damage that builds up through normal living. This vitamin is found mainly in fruits and vegetables, especially citrus fruits like oranges, lemons, and grapefruits, but also in strawberries, kiwi, bell peppers, broccoli, tomatoes, and many other fresh foods. That is part of what makes vitamin C different from some other vitamins. People often picture it as something bright, fresh, and plant-based, because that is exactly where it is most commonly found. Unlike fat-soluble vitamins that can be stored more easily, vitamin C is water-soluble, so the body does not keep large reserves of it for long periods. Vitamin C also carries a strong historical story. It became famous through scurvy, a disease that once affected sailors on long sea voyages when fresh produce was unavailable for months. Bleeding gums, weakness, and poor wound healing were some of the classic signs. The eventual discovery that citrus fruits could prevent the condition became an important moment in nutrition history, showing in a very practical way that food could prevent serious illness. What makes vitamin C matter today is not just its history, but its daily usefulness. It supports healing, helps the body absorb iron from plant foods more effectively, and plays a steady role in immune function. People often think of it only when they feel sick, but its real value is quieter than that. It helps maintain the body day after day, especially through tissue repair, protection, and the ordinary maintenance that keeps the system working well. Vitamin D. Vitamin D is often called the sunshine vitamin because the body can make it when skin is exposed to sunlight. That simple fact makes it feel different from most other vitamins, since it does not come only from food. Even so, it still behaves like an essential nutrient, helping the body absorb calcium and phosphorus, two minerals that are central to strong bones and teeth. Without enough vitamin D, the body may have those minerals available but struggle to use them properly. Its role in bone health is the reason vitamin D became so important in public health. For children, a serious lack of it can lead to rickets, a condition that softens growing bones and affects normal development. In adults, low levels can contribute to weak bones, bone pain, or a greater risk of fractures over time. That does not mean vitamin D works alone, but it acts like a key that helps the body unlock the full value of the minerals it depends on. Food sources include fatty fish such as salmon, sardines, and mackerel, along with egg yolks and foods that have been fortified, like some milks, cereals, and plant-based drinks. Still, many people do not get much vitamin D from food alone. That is why sunlight remains part of the conversation whenever this vitamin comes up. The balance can be tricky though, because sunlight exposure varies by season, location, skin tone, clothing, and daily routine. What makes vitamin D matter beyond bones is that it also plays a role in muscle function and immune health. Researchers have spent years studying its wider effects, and while people sometimes treat it like a cure-all, its real importance is more grounded. It helps the body maintain strength, structure, and normal function in ways that are easy to overlook until levels become too low. Vitamin K. Vitamin K is a quieter vitamin than many others, but it performs one of the body's most essential safety functions. It helps the blood clot properly, which means it supports the process that stops bleeding after a cut or injury. Without it, even a small wound could become much more dangerous. That role alone makes it vital. But vitamin K also helps support bone health by working with proteins involved in building and maintaining strong bones. It is found mainly in leafy green vegetables such as spinach, kale, collard greens, and broccoli. The deep green color of these foods is often a good clue that vitamin K is present. There's also another form that can come from certain animal foods and fermented foods, and some of it is produced by bacteria in the gut. Even so, for most people, vegetables remain the main and most familiar source. What makes vitamin K different is that most people rarely think about it unless there is a medical reason to do so. It does its work in the background. Blood clotting happens automatically when the body needs it, so the vitamin's importance can feel invisible. In medicine, though, vitamin K has a very clear place. Newborn babies are often given vitamin K shortly after birth because their natural levels can be too low, and that can raise the risk of serious bleeding. Vitamin K matters because it supports control and stability inside the body. It helps prevent bleeding from becoming dangerous, and it also contributes to the ongoing maintenance of healthy bones. It may not get as much attention as vitamins tied to energy or immunity, but it is one of the nutrients that helps the body protect itself in a very direct way. Vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is one of the most talked about vitamins in the B family because its effects can reach the blood, the nerves, and the brain all at once. It helps the body make red blood cells, supports DNA production, and keeps the nervous system functioning properly. When levels drop too low, the signs can show up as tiredness, weakness, numbness, poor balance, memory problems, or a strange feeling that the body is not running quite the way it should. What makes B12 stand out is that it is found naturally almost entirely in animal-based foods. Meat, fish, eggs, milk, and other dairy products are the main sources. That means people who eat little or no animal food often need fortified foods or supplements to maintain healthy levels. It also means that deficiency is not always about diet alone. Some people eat enough B12 but still struggle to absorb it because of stomach or intestinal problems, or simply because absorption becomes less efficient with age. Historically, B12 became especially important when doctors were trying to understand pernicious anemia, a serious condition that once had no effective treatment. The eventual discovery that liver and later vitamin B12 could help treat it was a major moment in nutrition and medicine. It showed that a tiny nutrient could make a huge difference in energy, blood health, and survival. Vitamin B12 matters because it supports systems that are central to daily life. It helps carry oxygen through healthy red blood cells, supports nerve communication, and contributes to mental clarity and physical strength. It is one of those vitamins that the body does not need in huge amounts, but when it is missing, the effects can be surprisingly wide-reaching. Vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 is a specific form of vitamin D, and for many people it is the version most often seen on supplement labels. It is known as cholecalciferol, and it is the same form the body makes when sunlight hits the skin. That is what gives D3 its special place in nutrition. While people often speak about vitamin D in general, D3 is usually the form most closely linked to natural production in the body and to many common supplements used to support healthy levels. It can be found in animal-based foods such as fatty fish, fish liver oils, egg yolks, and fortified products, though usually in modest amounts. Because food sources are limited, D3 is often associated with sunlight and supplementation more than with ordinary meals. In everyday life, that makes it feel more practical than visible. Many people are not thinking about D3 because of what they eat, but because of how much time they spend indoors or whether they get enough sunlight throughout the year. What makes D3 different from the broader idea of vitamin D is that it points to one exact form rather than the whole category. Another form, vitamin D2, also exists, especially in fortified foods and some supplements. But D3 is often discussed as the form the body recognizes most naturally because it is the one produced in the skin. That connection has made it especially common in health advice. Even though both forms belong to the vitamin D family, vitamin D3 matters for the same core reasons. Vitamin D matters, helping the body use calcium well, supporting bone strength, and contributing to normal muscle and immune function. The reason it gets singled out is not because it does a completely separate job, but because it is such a familiar and widely used form of a vitamin that many people struggle to get enough of in modern indoor life. Vitamin E. Vitamin E is best known as a vitamin that helps protect cells. It acts as an antioxidant, which means it helps defend the body's tissues from certain kinds of damage caused by unstable molecules created during normal metabolism and exposure to the environment. That may sound quiet and technical, but in simple terms, vitamin E helps the body preserve the health of cells over time, especially in fatty tissues and cell membranes where protection matters most. It is found in foods like nuts, seeds, vegetable oils, wheat germ, spinach, and avocados. Unlike vitamin C, which people often imagine in fruits, vitamin E is more closely tied to rich plant fats and oils. That gives it a different identity in nutrition. It is not usually the vitamin people think about first, but it is present in many everyday foods when diets include nuts, seeds, and varied plant ingredients. What makes vitamin E different is that its work is less visible than vitamins tied to eyesight, bones, or blood. You do not usually notice vitamin E in one single body system. Instead, it helps with overall protection and maintenance. It also supports immune function and plays a role in keeping skin and other tissues healthy. Because it works in the background, its value is often easier to understand as part of the body's long-term care rather than a quick, obvious effect. Vitamin E matters because the body is always dealing with small forms of stress, both from inside and outside. This vitamin helps reduce some of that wear at the cellular level. It is a protective nutrient more than a dramatic one, and that is exactly why it matters. It helps the body stay resilient in ways that are easy to miss, but important over a lifetime.